I'm pleased to be joined by New Magic General Manager John Hammond, kind enough to take a few minutes with me here. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Great to be here in Orlando.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you. Let me start by welcoming you. And what's the last couple weeks been like for you? I got to imagine a little chaotic.
Oh man, it's been so chaotic. You know, we're playing a lot of catch up right now.
Sure.
With the draft here upon us and free agency to follow soon thereafter, along with our summer league. So a busy few weeks and more to come.
I'd love to get the story on, obviously you've known Jeff for a while, for a number of years, but the decision to come to Orlando, how did that all come to be, and what was so desirable for you about this area and this organization?
Well, I think, you know, it starts for me probably with a new opportunity, new challenge. I think those are great. Those are healthy for people. And so with that being said, my relationship with Jeff was a primary factor. You know, this is going to be our fourth time working together. You think about that. It's really kind of amazing. So our long-term relationship was a major factor. I trust him. I know how good he is, and I'm just going to try to help him any way I possibly can.
As you look at this roster, you know, you're looking at it from the outside. Now you get a chance to get your hands on it. And what have you seen, and kind of how do you assess this roster and where this organization is at right now, and the pieces that are already here?
Well, I think if you look at our roster, you can say that there are players that can help an NBA team win games. So players that we think we can move forward with. It's our responsibility now to add other players to help build that.
And you mentioned, obviously, this draft. People are mentioning how deep this draft is. How do you view the draft, the depth that's maybe in this draft?
I think this is an interesting draft in the fact that, you know, I'm not sure there's that initial franchise player that you say, we draft this guy at 1, we draft this guy at 2. He can turn it immediately by himself. So there may not be that player, but I do think there's a grouping of players at the top that you say, you know, there could be, I don't know how deep it goes, if it goes to 6, 7, 8, wherever it might be, but potential like all-star type players, a grouping of those guys that could be all-stars. And if you can acquire an all-star player, that's a real building block.
Well, and it's very encouraging to hear, and you can get a guy at 6, right? I mean, it seems to be there'll be a guy that's available, and this organization can get their hands on somebody.
We think so.
Yeah.
We think so. You know, and look, you're not trying to protect the player and not trying to protect the decision when you say something like this, but they're probably it's going to take that guy a little bit of time for him to develop into that player that you hope and expect he can become.
What are some of the things that your philosophy, I guess, for people here in this community that haven't seen your body of work? They'll know it very soon if they don't already. But how do you view guys that you want to draft and the whole process for you?
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, for me right now, and, you know, having a chance to work with Jeff and, you know, working together in multiple positions that we've been in, that, you know, now our philosophy is together. And I say, well, Jeff's philosophy is something like this. It's like, let's find players that are good people, that are willing to play hard and willing to make their teammates better. Start with kind of a basic philosophy like that, and I think we can build with that and win with that.
And, you know, Jeff mentioned that too. That seems to be a big foundation and building block, is guys that are here for the betterment of their teammates, guys that want to play hard, as you mentioned, and make their teammates better.
Well, you know, Jeff was talking about this the other day because we both had a chance to work with Joe Dumars at one point, and Joe used to try to break it down in a simple form. We look at rosters and look at players on the rosters and say, you know, we'll break them into 2 categories. There's givers and there's takers. Yep. And if you have more takers on your team than givers, you're going to be a problem. So we're going to try to build this team and this organization over the next few years with givers and people that say, I'll give to my others to make my teammates better, to make this organization better, to make the city better. Those kind of people, I think you can win with. Yeah,
no question. That's terrific insight. And as far as the guy that's coming in here, and you have multiple picks. You have 4 picks here in the top 35. How difficult, do you enjoy this process? How difficult is it to possibly wrap your head around all the options that are available to you?
It is. It gets a little nerve-wracking. You know, you can get comfortable at 6. You can kind of look at that and say, you know, we're gonna take that grouping down to 2 players, maybe a 3rd player. You get up to 25, and now you're saying, boy, that grouping could be 8 to 10 players. And you get into the 2nd round, it's even deeper than that. So, you know, we're going to keep all of our options open going into the draft. Maybe we can bundle those picks, move up. Maybe we stay with them. Maybe we move one of those seconds. So there's all kinds of opportunities for us to hopefully make us better today and can make us better in the future.
Now, is that something, the potential to move, maybe stay there, maybe trade the pick or whatever? Is that something you'll try to know that day, or can it change as you go through it? Get a phone call that you like, or how does that all work?
It could be both. I think for the most part, you'll know going in, but there could be that call, and some people, you know, do like to operate that way. Say, let's wait until the last moment. we'll make that call, kind of pressure them into a decision.
Sure,
so you got to be careful of something like that. But I think we all try to be as organized as we can going in, especially for ourselves with 4 picks. That's a lot of players to put on already young roster in one draft.
And I think I heard you mention, John, it's about so much need, but the best player available, right? Is that wherever you end up picking, you want to get the best player available?
I think so in particular, especially with 6.
Sure.
And then could potentially the 25th pick be be a factor on what you took at 4? Maybe you don't want to get multiple positions like that. Although that may not be the factor also. You might look at 25 and say this is still the guy, the best valued player on the board at that time for us as an organization or for another team.
How important is your team, the team that seems to be coming into place here, the team that you've assembled, to do all that research, to do all that background check, to go into kind of ward with on draft night?
Well, I think we're really, really lucky. We've got, retained Matt Lloyd. He's with us. Matt does a great job. And other guys, we just got Pete DeLisandro hired, and Pete is another high-character guy who knows this business, has a great feel from the cap standpoint, and so I think it's we talk about having the right kind of people on that floor that are going to be a team willing to sacrifice, make others better. Well, we have to do the same thing with our team, with our organization, whether that be with the coaching staff, the front office, all of us pulling together and willing to make others better.
You've had so much success in the draft. Has that been a part of it, having a good team, or do you just have a gut feeling, an eye? Is it research? What do you attribute some of that to, do you think?
It's interesting. Jeff's father, Harry Weltman, who was a general manager of 2 NBA teams. I remember him saying to Jeff and I at one point, he said, you don't get them all right in this business. You're going to miss on some. He said, the key is, though, can you get, if your opponent's getting 6 out of 10 right, can you get 7 out of 10 right? If they're getting 7, can you get 8? Just one more than that opponent. So, look, we've had some good fortune, and, I think it's probably the people that you have around you that are doing a good job, out doing the work, and you try to do your part as well, but be as thorough through the process as you can. I think every team does it. Every team does it for the most part. We're all working at the same level. We're all working extremely hard. Good fortune can sometimes come your way.
Sure. Well, what did you say? How much pride do you take in Giannis Antetokounmpo? I mean, there was a lot of question marks about a guy like him, but to take him where you took him and for him to become the player that he is, I know you must be proud of how that's worked out.
It really is. Rod Thorne, a longtime NBA person, was a consultant for us for the last couple of years, and it's interesting, being with Rod, some people will still come up to him today, so many years later, and say, you're the guy that drafted Michael Jordan. And please, not even starting to put Giannis in any kind of category like that whatsoever. But today, I'm proud to be a guy that drafted Giannis because what he stands for as a player, but also what he stands for as a person. Was that
how much info did you have? Was it a gut? Did you know he could be something like this, or what made you?
Look, we're here together, and you're going to say, well, now the story just fits, but it's the truth. I'm sitting in my office in Milwaukee. A guy by the name of Jeff Weltman, who I'm working with at the time, walks in my office and says, hey, look, there's a guy in Athens, Greece right now that's gaining a lot of attention, and I think we need to go see him. That's how it started, with Jeff Weltman walking in my office.
Isn't that fantastic? Well, that's very exciting for all of us here. We hope you find the next Giannis Antetokounmpo right here in Orlando.
We'll take that any day.
Yeah, no question. Well, good luck to you. Great to have you here. We're excited for draft night.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, John.